Hello, everyone, and welcome to Perek Lamed Chet. That's chapter 38 of the book of Shemot. And we continue describing the building of the Mishkan. Right now, all the materials have been gathered, all the workers have begun working, and in Perek Lamed Chet, the Mizbeach is made. The outside altar with a big ramp and a special platform for burning animal sacrifices, as well as the kiyar, the wash basin for the Kohanim to wash their hands and feet, as well as the screen, the masach, which was for the doorway of the Mishkan courtyard. Remember that the Mishkan was surrounded by a courtyard of white nets, and in the front there was a gap of 30 amot. It was 50 amot long, but 15 amot on each corner, on each side, and then there was a gap of 30 amot. And then they moved a little forward, and they made this beautiful door, beautiful screen with lions and eagles on it, and that's how they went in. When you would come in, that would be in front of you, then you would walk around the door and go in from the side. Okay? And that is the beginning of Perek Lamed Chet, which is in Parshat Vayakel. Then the parsha switches, Vayakel ends, and the next parsha is Parshat Pikudei. Pikudei means to count. The counting and accounting. It was so important to make a proper accounting of the Mishkan's vessels and all the donations, because whenever you give donations, especially donations for Hashem's house, it's holy. And Moshe wanted to show that every single piece of gold, silver, copper, or material was used properly and not wasted, how much they got and what they used it for. Okay? So the Torah begins telling you that Moshe ordered Aaron's youngest son, whose name was Itamar. Aaron had 4 sons, Nadav and Avihu, who passed away, and then Elazar and Itamar. Itamar was the youngest, to oversee the accounting of the materials. So he counted gold, 29 kikar, which is a tremendous weight, and 730 shekel. 1 kikar equals 3,000 shekel. So if you could imagine, right, 29 kikar are thousands upon thousands of shekels. Okay, so 87,730 shekels total of gold. Silver was 100 kikar, right, and 1,775 shekels. A whopping 301,775 shekels of silver, and copper 70 kikar and 2,400 shekel. And the gold was used for the vessels of the Mishkan, like the menorah, the shulchan, the beams of the Mishkan building were plated with gold. The Aron was covered with gold. The silver was, all the sockets on the bottom of the Mishkan building were silver. And then there were copper. All of the beams had copper caps on it and bottoms of the courtyard. The kiyar was copper, and the mizbeach outside was covered with copper. And there was a lot of copper, silver, and gold used. And that is the Perek Lamed Chet.
Hello everyone! What about a silly story for Perek Lamed Chet?
What kind of silly story do you have, and what exactly are you?
I am a MuFf! You kids in California don't know about MuFs, but in the place where it gets hot, a MuFf is very important to protect your ears from the cold. Also, MuFs are very useful in Perek Lamed Chet to put everything in its place, and they're very useful to avoid distraction while counting the materials of the Mishkan.
Okay, Mr. MuFf, but what does it have to do with Lamed Chet?
Well, you see, MuFf is 3 the M is a 3 that fell down on its side. The U doesn't count because it's a vowel, and the F in our F is like a script. In script, that is an F, and it sort of looks like an 8 if you look in there. So MuFf is really 8, and the second F doesn't count because a double letter does not count. So MuFf is really chapter 38. Okay. And what does that have to do with the events of the Mishkan?
Well, I'll tell you. You see, it all began. Bezalel needed a way to put everything in its place. So in those days, cranes were not invented. So they got a giant MuFf. That's right, a giant MuFf. What are you talking about? Yes, a giant MuFf came down from the sky and picked up the Mizbeach. And dropped the Mizbeach in its place. Next, they needed to drop the Kiyar in its place. So they picked up the Kiyar with the MuFf. A little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, right there. And then the MuFf put the courtyard curtain. A gigantic MuFf came for the courtyard curtain. And they put the courtyard curtain. And they put the courtyard curtain in its place with a big MuFf. And then Aaron's son Itamar needed to start counting the Mishkan. Oh no, I have so many piles of shekels to count, and all these Jews are making so much noise. How will I concentrate to count?
I know. You could put on a MuFf, and then you won't hear anyone.
Oh, very good idea. Okay, I'm going to put on this MuFf over here.
Oh, this is wonderful. Now I cannot hear anybody because I have a MuFf on my ears. I can count 1 shekel, 2 shekel, 3 shekel, 4 shekel, 5 shekel, 6. Oh my gosh, 29 kikars of gold. Wow, that is 87,730 shekels total. Wow, I would have never been able to count without these MuFfs on my ears. Thank you very much. Mr. MuFf, that was the most ridiculous story that I ever heard.
Well, you asked for a silly story, didn't you?
Yes, but the real thing that happened in chapter 38, of course, Perek Lamed Chet, is the Mizbeach, Kiyar, and Masach, the screen, were put in place, and they made an accounting of all of the gold, silver, and copper that were used in the Mishkan.